Hello, everybody, and welcome to our lovely group of chaotic women that we tend to be. Today's podcast is on freedom of speech and when does it become slander? If you don't know who we are, I am Jessie. My uh, online tag and everything is Penguin Queen IX.
I am Chesh. My online is Miss Cheshire.
And I am online as Laura Lorelei, and you can call me Laura or Lorelei.
Welcome to Reconfiguring Reality.
So, freedom of speech, defamation of character, libel, and the First Amendment. Right? These are all
Well,
things
okay,
that we need to cover,
yeah.
right?
Well, so the First Amendment and from the White House .gov, you can look up, and it states the First Amendment provides that Congress make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise. It protects freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So the First Amendment does not just only cover freedom of speech, but it is what is used to protect these freedom of speech people who are allowed to say pretty much, in my opinion, whatever they feel, and there's no repercussions.
Right. So,
Well,
what you're saying is
and
the First Amendment doesn't specify what exactly freedom of speech is.
Well, yes, because pretty much is you can say whatever you want, you're going to be fine.
yeah.
Except now because there's slander, and the dictionary states that slander, and it's a noun under law, is the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So technically, how I take that now is if I said something about you, Laura, that was false, but it didn't damage your reputation, is that still technically considered slander then?
No.
Okay, so that's how I look at slander is you actually have to harm someone's reputation.
But what if you wrote it down? Would it still be slander?
Like wrote
Oh,
it
freedom of
down to
press.
where nobody could
Technically, it
see
could go
it,
under
wrote it
freedom of
down.
press because you're writing it down.
And
If I
Mm.
posted
actually,
it in a blog.
actually, libel. It would be libel or defamation.
Oh, okay, see, I didn't look
Is
up
in the written
defamation
form.
or
Yes.
I did it as just slander.
Right. So I have a
Now,
website here. It's a website that you would go to if you were pressing charges against somebody. So it's from a
mm-hmm.
lawyer, and they have libel is defamation in a form with a permanent record. It is generally found in writing or published statements.
Well, okay, so what if I just wrote it down in a notebook or in my diary?
Well,
I mean, who's saying a
that's not slander
35
or
pages?
libel. That's nothing because that's your own
Okay,
personal.
It's personal, yeah.
but
You're
if
not
I
going
had
out
a
and saying it.
so if I had a blog,
Uh-huh.
that would be it. But if I wrote it down like in a notebook or something that's only in my house,
And never
that's
published. Yeah.
okay.
So, libel can be found in print media such as books, newspapers, or magazines, and on the internet in websites, blogs, and social media posts.
Now, okay, question. If someone our special guest today is Tallulah yet again. Um I forgot to let everybody know that. But so social media. Social media, everybody uses it most of the time. If you're not, you're under a rock usually. Now, let's say you have a clip of something and you post it and it damages someone's reputation. Like let's say they say something like I'm trying not to go like total like utter.
Well, let's take it this way. If you're wanting it on a social media standpoint, we can use Twitch as an example. We
Mhm.
have people that stream all the time with or without others, like I said, like alone or in a group. But sometimes things are said that, maybe shouldn't have been said. Is that considered um
Now, yeah, that's kind of where I was going with. If they
yeah.
said it, and let's say someone reposted it, or someone told a person, or someone made a comment about it, is that con- considered defamation, slander? or anything
I
like
would
that.
say that the person who originally posted or made the content of it, yes, but for people to continuously keep drawing attention to it, I would also say that they are liable in that situation because they are bringing more attention to what that person has said.
Well, I
You have
agree
the
and disagree.
original well,
So
you have your original sender, but then the people who egg it on and agree with it and enable it are,
But what if
going
the
to
speech
keep
is
going with
harmful?
it.
okay, so John Doe goes on social media,
YouTube,
and
yes, a
Hmm.
form of social media.
he posts a thing that is not true. Like George stole from his employer,
Just
Hmm.
completely
stole money from
slanderous.
his employer. So he types this out on Facebook. Okay, and then Jane Doe comes along and sees this and shares it. John Doe has made the liable claim that George stole from his employer, which is detrimental and will hurt him.
Yes.
Jane is instigating it, but I don't think she would be held responsible for the libel because
Well,
she didn't say it.
and I think that's where the lines start to get blurry is because yes, she didn't say it, but she's perpetuating it.
Well, okay, but
Right.
so taking so there's a pastor in Missouri, and he posts his sermons and stuff. Well, this man decided to, and this is where I feel like it, because a lot of times with freedom of speech, there's where I get the issue of it should be not policed, but there should be something where when it's hate speech. And the thing that bugs me about
Mhm.
hate speech says the term hate speech, and this is from Middle Tennessee State University, is the term hate speech is generally agreed to mean abusive language specifically attacking a person or persons because of their race, color, religion, ethnic group, gender, or sexual orientation. I
Mm.
think that needs to be broader because hate crimes, which hate speech can be part of, doesn't just fall under those. Like I did in high school, we had to do this big PowerPoint presentation and we got hate crimes. And of course, everybody was expecting us to do like, someone who was of the LGBTQ plus community because that would have been an easier choice. But I actually found in Texas, there was a kid, and I related to this. There was a kid who was goth, listened to punk music, was out of the box from his thing. He literally got murdered because he was different, because he dressed different.
That is
And
definitely a hate crime.
yes,
Yes,
so
definitely.
and they were charged with a hate crime, but hate speech should include things like and the pastor from Missouri, I believe, to me, what he said was part of hate speech.
But
But
it wasn't because I know the video, and this is going to be the argument online too. You're not seeing it from a place of religion. So like
your
when I
religion,
say that,
but the thing is his religion. I do not follow it. I do not believe in it. It is
right,
not the
that's
same religion
I
as
agree.
myself. And you
I
don't get to
understand that.
use your God to tell me my child is junk and that my child has a demon in him because he has a genetic difference.
But that's not what he said.
It,
He said
it
he said he's not saying that that child is demonic or anything. He's saying that the autism was created from the demonic. He's saying that the disease in the world is demonic and it's fighting the good.
but he did sit there and say verbatim, well, my God doesn't make junk. God doesn't make mess ups. So he is telling me. And then he, of course, took a step back and said, I wasn't calling the children junk or people with, I was calling the autism drunk.
The
No,
disease.
you said it's not a disease. It is a genetic defect. I
Mhm.
then technically, a lot of people have them. But the thing is, the reason why this makes me so mad is he has a platform and people who may not understand him or are going to take the way he words things and uses some God that he follows that he decided that in the Bible somewhere that autism is a demonic thing when it's not. Science has proven there is a reason autism comes about. There's a reason. There is something in the genes that is mutated. They're different. And
So
to me, it is very personal because of the fact my child does not need to be cured. Do I wish he was different? Yes. But my child is perfect the way he is. To me, he is spewing lies. Like, just, and I understand he may not believe in science. And I understand he is a small minority. But if he gets a bigger following, or heaven forbid, someone who is like has their own mental illnesses or something like that starts believing and decides to act on something that someone like this says, that's where I get concerned.
yeah, and absolutely, but unfortunately, I would not consider what he said slander
Well, no,
because you
it's
I
can't
not.
prove
kind
it.
of do.
You can't prove
Yeah,
it.
and that, but
You
for
can't
me,
prove it one
it,
way or the other.
for
But
me,
the
it's
thing
just
is if somebody sits there and, they have a mental illness, it may not be autism, but, because we do have high functioning autistic people, but somebody who has any kind of disability listens to that. To me, as somebody who does have a disability, it makes me feel lesser of a person.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I understand that yes, it does not fall under slanderous and I can't prove anything, but that doesn't change how it can make these people feel.
Un-
so there are a couple people on social media, on TikTok specifically, and I love watching their videos. There is a young man that has Down syndrome that cooks, and his food looks amazing. And it hurts me. Like, I can't comment or read through his comments to like brighten my day, because you have those people who hide behind a keyboard and have their freedom of speech, and they can say the most hurtful things. And some kids, like, there's another boy who like he has my heart and soul, and he goes to Disney and all the characters know his name, and
I know exactly who you're talking about.
someone made a comment that he's creepy and all this other kind, and like that broke my heart. Like, I watch his videos because it makes my soul like feel healed,
Makes you
because he's just so
happy.
innocent. And people like him, and like Titus, like, he's not high functioning, but he's not like nonverbal, but he doesn't have someone to speak for him other than me or Sean, or like, let's say you guys, if something
Mm,
happened. He has to rely on other people. And
he,
I understand that you can't prove that words are hurtful, and you can't, but it's just, be a decent human being. And what is it in Bambi? Thumper says, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Like, and I mean, I fall into, I I say some pretty mean, hurtful, stupid things too. So I'm not saying I'm all perfect, but also, if someone told me, you saying that to me hurt my feelings, I would apologize and try to change it. But I'm not going to hide behind, oh, well, I'm allowed to say it because it's freedom of speech. Because I'm not going to sit there and slander someone's name without proof, or I try not to. Because you can get it on the wrong platform, and someone could decide to, let's say, like, up where I live, there is a school that is just for special needs children, like my son. And
I went
with,
to one of those.
yeah,
A school
and
that's just for
who's to
special
say some
needs.
nutcase isn't going to see, and I'm not saying this pastor in particular, but someone, let's say, views more and more and more, who's to say someone's not going to use that to go, heaven forbid, shoot up that type of school? But I also don't believe we should censor what people say, because like, I am against censoring books.
I censor what I say every fucking day.
I try to.
I
Some
don't.
days is better than others.
I do it
I
because I don't
fucking
want I don't want confrontation.
I don't want the confrontation, but I also don't see a point in lying to people when it's blatantly obvious on certain things. Like,
Yeah,
being a situation of watching somebody take advantage
foolish.
of somebody else, and let's say the person being taken advantage comes
But
up to me, I'm blatantly going to tell them, sweetie, you're being taken advantage of, and this is X, Y, and Z. Like, literally just lay it out on the ground for them and be like, this is up to you to figure out what you want to do. I will support you 100%. but I don't see a point in lying to people. I don't see a point
But
in censoring myself for somebody else's benefit when yeah, it could hurt you, but if I think it will benefit you in the long run, I'm okay with hurting you in the moment and helping you through the
But
moment.
just because I'm censoring myself doesn't mean I'm lying to people.
No, no, no. Just because you're censoring yourself doesn't mean you're lying, but I choose not to, and sometimes that can come off as being very blunt and to the point, but I don't really like dilly-daddling around the subject, you know? I don't like the tap dance that comes with trying to be gentle with my words. Now, with children, I do that. With people I don't know too well, I do that. But with my friends, as you guys both know, I don't like to dance around topics.
I also look at it as, is it going to be beneficial in the long run to tell someone, like, let's say I was going through a like I wasn't on my meds, I wasn't
Mhm.
going to therapy or anything like that.
Mhm.
Like, let's say a year ago, and certain things have happened, and if it would happen now, I don't think it would benefit me in the long run to be told specific things, because I would not be in a point where it would be healthy and beneficial for me. That I look at that kind of stuff too, like, is it going to harm this person more than what I can give them if they need help?
Freedom of speech is definitely one of those topics that it's so broad. It gets frustrating to talk about it because you can have so many people make so many counterpoints to what you've said, and so many people that will agree with you, but it's such a broad thing to discuss, you know? Like if we narrowed it down to specifically just talking disabilities, then, it makes it a bit easier, but we're talking about this as full
A
spectrum,
broader
you know what I mean?
genre is slander, is
Yeah.
the
And
defamation.
that's why I can understand like you're getting a bit frustrated because I can hear it in your voice that you have so many things you want to say and it all comes to the front of your mind and you just want to
Hmm.
spill it all out there and just,
Well,
have the
and I don't
conversation.
want to be upset when we discuss these things, because of the fact that I can see it from both sides. It's
Yes,
just
I can too.
I just see it more as, I just wish there was a way where it could silence the hate and silence the, like, lies.
I wish there was a way for when people have counter arguments or disagreements with us, not with us specifically, but when it comes to these kinds of topics, for everybody to see eye to eye. But I have definitely met people where there's no getting through to them. It is their way or the
I
highway.
deal with
There's
people like
no,
that every day.
you do.
Well, okay, so let's say,
But I just wanted to finish my thought
mhm,
before I lose it. But it's their way or the highway. There's no getting through to them. There's no like, well, I've given you every single reason in the book, positive and negative, for you to see my point of view, and they're just gonna look at you and go, no, I still believe this. Your words have not affected me at all. I barely listened to what you said. It's just it's the what is it? It's the brick wall that they bring up on
but they are
themselves.
allowed their own thoughts and opinions. They
They
may
are.
not.
It's just those people that they don't listen. It's the in one ear out the other. They don't want to hear
Miss
somebody
Miss
else's
Cheshire.
side.
Miss
Yes.
Cheshire, there are some times that I have conversations with you that you are the brick wall. I love
I'm
you.
probably in a
I'm
mood.
the same way.
I'm probably in a mood when we have those conversations.
Oh no,
Cuz
I'll
usually I'm
fully admit I'm
very
the same way.
yeah, I usually am very receptive when we talk, but here lately I've just been in a funk or in some kind of mood where I'm just like I don't want to hear it right now. And I know I've had moments where I've told you, Laura, before I'm just like, I can't do it right now. I can't hear it right now. My mind is just a one track at the moment.
They have a freedom of speech website, and it says the First Amendment is one of the topics. And it says in the United States, the First Amendment protects freedom of speech. The First Amendment was adopted on December 15th, 1791, as part of the Bill of Rights.
Hmm.
Let's see, the Bill of Rights provides constitutional protection for certain individual liberties, including freedom of speech, assembly, and worship. The First Amendment doesn't specify what exactly is meant by freedom of speech. Defining what types of speech should and shouldn't be protected by law has fallen largely to the courts. In general, however, the First Amendment guarantees the right to express ideas and information. On a basic level, it means that people can express an opinion, even an unpopular or unsavory opinion, without fear
Mm-hmm.
of government censorship.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I know I could like, let's say, because when it comes to slander, you're not going to criminal court. You're going to a civil court for that. You're looking for damages paid to you or something.
Civil,
Like,
yes, civil,
yeah,
right?
it's all going to be civil court. Now, let's say a fascist, a neo-Nazi, a Nazi, let's say, starts posting on social media that all Jewish people should be gassed again.
I'm fine. Put me in the shower.
But
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
all right,
feel
let's
I
go.
feel like something like that, one that is hate,
It is hate speech, and
it
it's also
should
hate speech towards a
not, it should
religion.
be criminal. You shouldn't even, to me,
It's a threat,
it
technically.
is a threat. And I understand it may be an idle threat or an empty threat, but still, that is not something that would be funny. That's not something
Well,
to joke about. That's not something
no,
you should even,
and I
like,
do apologize for my comment. It's just I've heard it so many times,
well, it's the,
mainly joked about towards me, and I'm just like, all right, let's go, let's get in the
well, I'm not
shower.
making, I wasn't like, I didn't use it because of you,
No, no,
but
no, I know. I
but
know.
to me, something that hurt, that something that violent and that has happened in history before, that should be like criminal, because to me that is hate. That should not be protected at all whatsoever under the
No, and I
Constitution.
agree. It should not be protected at all.
But
It should be
it's
taken
not a
very
crime
seriously.
technically. So there's a book that I really really like, and it's called Alt America: The Rise of the Radical Right in the Age of Trump. And it's not just about Donald Trump. It goes from when the radical right started, and it gives you all these like things that have actually happened in our history, and a lot of people don't know about them. And people have sat there and made threats like that or made opinions like that, and things have happened because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing
Right, but
is
unfortunately, it like I have no control over what people do on something I like how they act on something that I say.
think before you speak. How about that?
Uh,
Nobody does
People
that
are
anymore
dumb.
I
either.
know I don't even do that sometimes. But it's just, it's one of those things, like, I've learned, because I tend to sometimes run into people of other religious beliefs that I know are not the actual, like, ideas of said religion. And usually it is really like cuckoo. Okay, that's a judgment. Okay, people who are Christians that don't actually like follow
The crazy
Christianity, how it's,
Christians.
yes, the crazy Christian. And like, they'll see my necklace, and they'll see like my, because I have a bumper sticker that sits there and says, we are the granddaughters of the witches you didn't burn. But I potentially put a target on my back, but that's my choice. And
Mm.
again, that is my opinion. I am allowed to decorate my car however I want, but I will get
Mm-hmm.
people who sit there and say I should be burned at the stake. I don't I don't believe they're going to kidnap me one night and burn me at the stake. I don't
But to
hate
them, it's
you.
their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but I don't hate you. My beliefs are all love and peace, and you may
Mm-hmm.
believe in a single God. I believe in multi deities. That's fine. I'm gonna let you live your life. Why can't you just let me live mine?
Literally the definition of you do you, boo.
Yeah.
I'll do me.
Pretty soon I'm gonna have a freaking bumper sticker that says "fuck around and find out."
I need that sticker
I
as
need that for
well.
my husband.
But it's just, it's freedom of speech. This one is so hard because one, the First Amendment does not just cover freedom of speech; it's also freedom of the press and your right to assemble. But
Mm-hmm.
see, technically, to a point, and this is going a little off topic. Why should I have to get a permit to assemble and protest something? Like, you have laws that that stop some parts of the First Amendment, but not others. That's what I don't get, is you can sit there and make it technically illegal to have a protest, and you can get arrested for that because the laws say it, but you can't make a law saying, well, if you say you want to kill a specific group, even if it's your opinion, we're still gonna you're still gonna get 30 days in jail making a
But
misdemeanor.
but are those laws? I'm asking because I don't know. Are those laws in place not to stop the speech and the signs and everything? Is it the it's illegal to congregate in the areas that you're gathering?
Well, so like
Mm-hmm.
everybody probably knows about what happened with George Floyd in Minneapolis.
Yes, that was a very
So
public. Yeah.
yes, so I lived maybe 10 minutes away from Minneapolis when it first started. And I mean, when I say that they had riot trucks, SWAT trucks, they had like they brought out all the the police officers came and I watched people live streaming because I have two children. I can't just drop them off with someone and go
Mm-hmm.
protest even though I was with them all the way. Like I would have went to jail for it. I would have. I
Mm-hmm.
would have been fine with that. But they were just peaceful. And then you come in aggressively with SWAT teams and stuff like that. They're taking that as a form of an aggression. Now, I do believe in Minneapolis, and this is where things get kind of gray area. Like if you're on the sides protesting, like you're on the sidewalks and you're not blocking traffic or anything, you don't need a permit. But if you want to go like protest in front of a building, technically, you need permits for that kind of thing. I believe. I don't know 100%. I should have done my research more on that. But
Public building or
I'm
place of employment, like a business.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
uh I know they did it in front of I believe US Bank Stadium, but I don't believe there were any events going on. Like they weren't open for events that day.
Well, here's the thing. Do they want a permit because it's an event?
Oh, I never thought of it like that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But the thing is like you shouldn't cuz I believe that in when they did the civil rights protests and everything, did they need permits for that? Anyone know?
No idea.
But
Do you need a business license to sell lemonade on the corner?
You would
I
think,
do
but a lot
know in
of
some
kids
places they
do
do
not.
actually like I think some places if you have like that dick of a neighbor may sit there and try pulling that and there may be like a way old law that technically yes you have to fine a poor little 6-year old for not having a license.
Right.
Which I
So
think is so stupid. Like,
if
leave the
I
kid alone.
right, so if I need a business license to sell lemonade on the corner and I need permission to have an event of over so many people at a stadium, why wouldn't I have to have permission to have a gathering of so many people
Because
for a what's
technically
it
it's
called? What's the word?
Like a house
a
party or
protest
something.
Protest for a protest.
because it is covered under the freedom of assembly, which is what we do when we protest. That is considered the assembly. I do know, like if you do lock-ins, technically you need permits, at least in the where I live. But that's the thing. Like it's one of those things where this is so like some of our constitution is so broad because it was made hundreds of years ago that some of
Well,
them
and
don't fit today's standards.
wasn't our
Oh,
Constitution made to
oh
be,
my
like,
gosh.
torn up and rewritten as our country grows and develops?
I don't think that's what they were going for, but like
But
the
it's not
freedom of
made to be followed to a T,
well,
you
yeah, because
know?
it's very broad. But it's like I will sit there and I will discuss and we will discuss religion in another episode. But you have the right to exercise your religion, but then you have those people who are like, oh well, we're a Christian country. No,
Oh,
we are a country that anybody who practices any religion it should be able to feel safe and free to do so. But they look at it as, oh, well, our founding fathers were Christians. Okay, but they
It's like,
didn't sit there and
okay.
say that this country is based off Christianity. They say
Exactly. It's
we
not
have,
a fully Christian country.
yeah, and that's another thing is I can look at, let's say, the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, and I could take it one way, but Miss Cheshire could take it another way, and Laura could take it a third way. But who's right then?
Good point.
Because to
I'm
me,
right in my mind, obviously.
oh yeah, well, like for me, I am all for gun rights, but it does not say what type of arms you are allowed to bear. But when people read it, all they say is, "Oh, I'm allowed to own a gun." Well, no, it just says you have the right to bear arms. And when they wrote this Constitution, all they had was muskets. So if the government really wanted to, they could sit there and be like, "Oh no, you're only allowed gun-powdered muskets."
Right.
But there's more to it, like something about a tyrannical government or something like that. We can discuss it another time. But that's the thing. Like I look at the freedom of speech, and to me, it's no, you can't say that. That's a horrible thing to say. You don't get any protection. But that's my opinion, my thought, and it's what is it? Everybody or opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. But that's the thing. Like if Donald, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, so I will use him a lot.
Careful though.
If I have a video of Donald Trump saying something, let's say he said something horrible, which I mean the man has before, and I posted online. But let's say there were hundreds of other people that saw it also. Like let's say he was doing a speech, and I posted it in its entirety. I didn't clip it, I didn't edit it, nothing. Like I'm live streaming it. Is it defamation or slander or anything like that? Because those words are coming out of his mouth verbatim live.
Mm-hmm.
On your, like, for you, are you being charged with defamation of character or slander? No,
do you
I don't
think
think
he
you
should
would.
be okay? I'm like, but do you think he should be able to try?
Mm-mm.
They were his words. How would he get you
Okay.
for that?
Well, no, and that's the thing is he could try to go after someone like, or anyone could try and do that, but
Now, if he had
you
proof that you had
said it.
tampered the video in some way, then
Yeah,
maybe.
no, that's why I said, well, let's say I was live streaming.
Right, exactly.
That way I can't edit it or anything like that. And then other people are watching it, and then they share it. You're doing one. You're a public figure.
Yeah, you're a public figure.
Just
You
like
have to
people who are
kind
on
of watch what
Twitch
you say.
or Kick or TikTok, Instagram. Nowadays, everybody can be a potential influencer. You're going to influence people by the words you say, by the attitudes you take about certain things.
The actions
Like,
that you make.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and like I can't stand these people who sit there and say like gay people shouldn't be able to marry or transgender people can't those children shouldn't be able to transition. One, do your fucking research because no kid under the age of 18 is being transitioned surgically. Like
No, they're
that's
just
what
on hormone
bothers me.
blockers.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's what bothers me.
Actually, the doctors refused to even talk about reassignment surgery of any kind with my son until he was done physically growing, which is what, 25 years of
Yep.
age or something like that.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, for well, hold on, because Anthony is
Female to male.
Okay, I didn't want to out your child. Females tend to stop growing around age 16.
But
that's like the average of when we stop. So, but it depends on the person.
Yeah, but medically, the doctors won't do anything until he's 25.
Yes,
well,
because they want to make sure that he is done growing completely
and
that
mentally.
he is yes, and mentally still wanting to go through this process.
But see, so the funny thing is, with people like speaking out about this and saying that growth hormones and hormone blockers and stuff like that, you're not just affecting trans children anymore then. Because my youngest is on growth hormone because he has a rare genetic disorder. Now, he is 10. A side effect that could happen with these growth hormones is he could start puberty sooner than he should. So then we would have to put them on hormone blockers. So then, technically, it would be legal for me to do that with my child, even though it is medically necessary, because of people spewing these lies and stuff like that about something they do not do research on first before they sit there and actually form an opinion. It's just like when people who can't accept people being gay and God didn't make it God didn't make Adam and it's Adam and Eve. Okay, they're not Christian, let's say. Your opinion has no right. Like,
I am Christian, and it's still none of my business.
no, I know. I'm not, and Lord, none of this is ever pointed at you. Because
But no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if two people want to be in love and they're both male or want to be in love, like, we have a choice, right? But if two
yeah,
men are in love, as a Christian, it's still none of my business what they do behind closed doors or in public for that matter. It's none of my business. It doesn't
yeah,
affect me.
and that's the thing. Like I understand people can have their opinions, but your opinion should not be able to affect another person's life because it doesn't agree with you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I don't understand
Do not
is
judge other people on a lifestyle that you would not choose for yourself. Because it is not like just because you wouldn't do something yourself does not mean you should go ahead and judge other people for the things that you wouldn't do.
There's only
Does that
one
make
person that
sense?
can judge me. Only one.
My mother.
Jericho.
Uh,
No.
God. Only God can
Oh,
judge me.
everybody can judge me. I just
Oh yeah, I don't care about
I
anybody
judge
else.
you all the
Just
time.
yeah,
no,
I'm
I'm like, go
kidding.
I
ahead,
get it. I
judge
get
me
it.
now. I really don't care anymore.
Give it to me,
So
Like
baby.
I feel like I got slandered the other day, but okay, I know differently. Your opinion doesn't fucking matter to me. Go fuck yourself. I believe like with slander, you should pick and choose your battles to a point. Yeah, it's just you pick and choose your battles. Like, is this really something worth like
Is it worth
fighting
all
over?
of us sitting here and yeah,
Yeah, and to me, I don't think it really is anymore. Like, am I still salty a little bit? Yeah, I'll be
100%.
over it tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is from uscourts.gov. So it says there, it says, freedom of speech includes the right, and so it's not to speak, and then in parentheses, specifically the right not to salute the flag. So this is West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett, and it's 319 US 624 from 1943. Now,
Mhm.
to me, I agree with that one. Like, as a teenager, I didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance or anything, or if I
Oh,
did,
I
I
stood,
would
put my
take
hand on my
out,
chest and didn't say anything.
the word God. That was my choice. I wasn't like being to me. Don't think I was being disrespectful. A couple people thought I was, and I looked at them like I have every right to change to fit my beliefs. I'm not being disrespectful to the flag, but I can understand this. Let's see it now, and it says a
Well,
student.
and it's somebody said something, I have to look it up, see if I can find it, about the fact that there's a whole thing in regards to kids not wanting to do the pledge because they learned about propaganda.
Uh huh.
And a student in this woman's class asked, being like, well, isn't us saying the Pledge of Allegiance technically propaganda? And of course, the teacher, not wanting to lie and obviously teach her students, she went in and was like, well, yes, technically it is. And a lot of the kids decided that they did not want to say the pledge. They would stand and they would put their hands over their hearts, but they did not want to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And the school had a huge hissy fit about it. And that teacher, I don't know, she faced repercussions. I know that a lot of people got angry at her
Hmm.
on like the school board and stuff like that.
do they still
But
stand for the pledge in schools
I
today?
don't know if
I
they still
don't
do.
know.
I could
It's been a
ask one of the
while.
kids.
Because
Yeah.
I think when they started talking, I don't have school age kids. It's been a while, but I think when they did separation of state and church, they stopped saying it because of one nation under God.
Yeah.
So
I
when we
think
I
they
used
don't
stopped
to,
doing it all together.
I don't
when
know. I just know when I was in high school, I was not. I didn't say it. I stood there. I put my hand on my heart, but I refused to
I'm gonna
say it
have
because of
to.
the whole under God portion.
On Wednesday, June 26, 2002, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco ruled the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag cannot be recited in public schools because the phrase "under God" endorses religion.
Oh, so another one that is included in the rights is to engage in symbolic speech. An example is burning the flag in protest. And that was Texas versus Johnson 491 US 397 in 1898 or 1989, and then United States versus Eichmann 496 US 310 in 1990. Now, to me that one I would never do it because to me the United the flag to me represents the men and women who are in the service.
Yes, I
That's
agree.
to
I
me.
think it to me it represents, our 50 states and also our men and women who are protecting our country.
Yeah, but and to some people they don't have that same belief that the flag to me that to them it's a symbol of regression or oppression. And I get that. I can understand that, but I just never would do that. Now, freedom of speech does not include the right uh to incite imminent lawless action. Brandenburg versus Ohio, 395 US 444 in 1969. Did you know you cannot burn draft cards as an anti-war protest?
Yes, I think that's
Giraffe
because it's
parts?
Well,
draft cards.
Oh,
yeah.
I
So
thought you said giraffe parts. I was like, what?
No, because it's a government form. It's an official
okay,
government form. So I believe um, that draft cards. I believe that you can't burn, like it's illegal to burn them because it's an official government document.
wait. So like technically, then isn't a birth certificate a government document?
As far as I know, yeah. Why? So it's
Oh
a
well,
Mm-hmm.
security
no.
card.
Well, the other reason why I ask is because of the fact of like, what if I wanted to like, I don't know, like fucking burn my birth certificate as like a form of protest, like against my. I mean, both of my parents are gone, and I'd never do that. But
Oh,
it.
apparently it is not illegal to burn your birth certificate.
Oh, okay. But no, it's one of those things where it's just like it's hard to deal with freedom of speech because I'm a very opinionated person and I'm a brick wall and there are certain things that you can try and convince me and I'm just my opinion. Like you could you
Mm-hmm.
could show me all these things and I'm still going to tell you Ford trucks are the best fucking trucks to own. You could show me all these graphs and statistics and I'm going to look at you and be like, mm-mm, Ford all the way. But then
Yeah,
there's other things where I'm gonna sit there and be like, okay, well, I can see where I could at least be like, I can see where you're coming from. This is just not something we're gonna discuss anymore because your opinion's not gonna change my opinion. But you have every right to have your opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's again, well, like we've said, everybody has an opinion.
Well, okay. For some reason, this just popped in my head. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was talking about the pastor saying that autism was caused by something, and you asked about vaccines,
Mm-hmm. I think
technically,
pastors need to just, yeah, you can't see it, but I have
well,
my hand that it's doing the mouth thing and just closing. They just they need to
just
stay in I
stay
say
in
this
your
really
lane.
nicely. Stay in your lane.
okay, but
Well,
who's defining that lane?
okay. So to a point is but where I was gonna go was so there was that article or there was that scientist that posted his scientific findings, even though it was never published properly, it was not credited, no one, it was not done correctly. There is a huge wave of people who now do not believe in vaccinating their children, and some still
Yeah.
believe that it's because they believe it causes autism. Is that not harmful?
Well, and also on sorry to interrupt you. I do apologize because that popped into my head. There's also because I looked on the what is it, CDC website. I looked
Hmm.
into that and they have scientific proof that these vaccines that you give your babies do not cause autism because it forms in the womb as the baby is developing.
Yes, but should that person, like, we had, and I don't believe it's from, like, because there are cultures that do not believe in vaccines. We have a
Yes.
large population in Minneapolis that do not believe in vaccinating their children, and there was a mumps outbreak in their community. Was it mumps or measles? Measles. I think it was measles. Let me see.
Question: while we're looking up what measles are they anti-vaccine or are they anti-medication in general?
I think they're usually anti-vaccine because
Yeah.
they'll still
Well,
go to the
so
doctor and get medications and
so
everything.
I hate. I don't want to say this because
Say it.
okay. So the 2019 Samoa measles outbreak began in September 2019. As of 6th January 2020, there were over 5,700 cases of measles and 83 deaths out of a Samoan population of 200,874. Over 3% of the population were infected. Now, I don't know if it's a religious belief or what it is,
Or cultural?
but
Because Samoan is
it could be uh,
cultural.
well, because it's SAMOA, measles, but then it says later on Samoan population. Okay. But the thing is, so it's cultural. I can understand that. But when you're like I have a couple, we're not friends anymore because it was just I don't like being attacked on my personal Facebook page. That's why I don't post anything like anymore, like on my beliefs, because I don't like being attacked. I believe like I have people who will post things I don't agree with, but I keep my mouth shut, but they don't have the same respect for me, so I just stopped doing it. Well, I had friends that were like, "Oh, well, your son got autism because of vaccines," and I looked at him and was like, "No, genetic. It's in the genes. They're born that way. There's just
Hmm.
no test for it until they're around the age of 3." And they're like, "No, I'm never getting my children vaccinated because there's scientific studies." I was like, there was one scientific study, group was too small to be definitive, was never, what is it? When you like do a hypothesis and then someone else takes it to see if they can recreate, like, it wasn't, oh my God, what's the word for? It wasn't credited by, not superiors, but they're equals. They're other
Yeah.
scientists, other smart people.
Yeah, it wasn't credible enough for
But
other
that kind of
scientists to
stuff is
sign on to it.
that kind of stuff is harmful for a community. Like
Hmm.
I understand religious beliefs not wanting to get vaccines. I have no right to tell you you're wrong if you do not believe in vaccines because of your religion. That's on you. It's not as large of a population as it
But
used to be, and
here's
people will sit there, and as they get older and they're turn the age of 18, a lot of people will decide to get
I was
themselves
just gonna
vaccinated.
say what they're doing is they're harming their children and putting them in situations where they can catch these deadly diseases. I mean, hell, New York had polio
Hmm.
because
And
there were so many people not vaccinated for polio that polio came back. But you're right. A lot of these kids, as soon as they like do their own research and look into it, as soon as they turn 18, they go to their doctors and they're like, I want to be vaccinated.
I let my children decide whether or not they wanted the flu shot when they got of age of being
Yeah.
able to
I will,
research the
okay, so I
vaccines
will say,
themselves.
I I will get my children vaccinated for all their normal stuff. Uh, they got vaccinated for COVID. I will not make them get the flu shot because, well, one of us
I
always gets the flu anyways before we get the shot, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, I
But
used to get my flu shot because mom and I are both very immune compromised. But
mhm,
I
but
don't
that's
want to
different.
get my but I don't want to get it this year because of studies coming out stating that they are going to put a COVID booster into the flu shot, pretty much just adding it into what you would already be getting. And I told my doctor, I was like, I don't want that. I want a normal flu shot.
Yeah. Like
Because to
I
me,
That
don't.
is going to be the normal flu shot, though, isn't it?
that's yeah, that's what they're trying to do is make that the normal flu shot. But to me, I feel that the COVID vaccines should be further tested because we're going to have so many it's literally just I said it when COVID started is that COVID is going to become the new flu.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to constantly be getting boosters and this and that and the other. And I'm like, at this point, like being immune compromised, and I've already had COVID like I think two, three times already. Um, I would rather have it again than get a booster that is showing harm to people. Perfectly healthy people who have got the boosters and everything showing up with heart problems and like all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking that chance. I would
Well,
rather be
it's
as
just
safe
like
as possible.
I'm not big on funny thing. I'm covered in piercings and tattoos, but I'm not big on needles.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I don't get mine. Now, when my mother was alive and COVID was happening, if we had a little tickle in the back of our throat and I was supposed to go see my mother that day, I texted her like, you know what? I don't know. I don't think I've been, but I'm not going to come because my throat's a little sore. It may just be my sinuses draining, but I'm not willing to risk it
Mhm.
because she would get a cold and it would turn into pneumonia. Like that's how bad her lungs
Yeah.
were. And so I was very protective and cautious over it, but one of
Well,
my
yeah, I'm
siblings
also
was
very
not.
protective of my mom because, it's our moms, you know. I have a very
Oh,
good relationship with my mother, and the last thing I want was to get her sick.
Can I take us
And,
well,
back? Can I take us back to the draft cards for a second?
yeah,
I found
oh, the giraffe
information.
parts.
Yeah, the
yeah,
draft cards.
draft.
Giraffe parts.
In okay, so May 27th, 1968, there was a U.S. versus O'Brien
Hmm.
case that the
Mhm.
ruling okay, so draft cards, like burning draft cards, was a popular form of anti-war protest, like I believe you
Hmm.
said
Mhm.
earlier. And one of them was taken to court for burning his draft card, and the ruling was Congress could create a law against burning of draft cards because the cards serve a legitimate governmental purpose during wartime. Upon further investigation on the whole, while the birth certificate is a government form, we should be able to burn that. And is that illegal? And no, it's not. That's because it's a copy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
So
what we
we
receive is
don't
a copy.
hold
So, yeah, no,
the
we don't have our
original.
actual
Okay.
Right,
document.
right.
The hospital pretty much fills out
Well,
the document
Now I
and
don't know anything about uh, the draft cards. I don't know if that's like an original or if they have that
yeah, I
copied
don't
somewhere.
know.
I have no idea, but that's what the ruling is.
I would assume every
okay.
documentation that we are given to keep is a copy
Right.
Now
because
I
the
wonder what
government
they would.
always has the original.
I wonder what they would do nowadays because of the fact that with how everything is, I don't foresee them like if like let's say heaven forbid World War III broke out and they needed to draft like
We're
they
still
wouldn't
at war. We're
hand
still
out.
at war.
Well, yeah, but I mean like where you actually have to draft people like there's not enough meat shields to keep the war going. Like that's the only
Well,
reason. Well, that
unfortunately, this meat shield can't go.
well, I'd fucking volunteer myself. Be like, take
Exactly. That's
me.
not a
Well,
draft. They wouldn't need a draft because we have volunteers.
Well,
yeah,
yes, but
people would
let's
volunteer and then, yeah.
so that's all a draft is if they do not have enough meat shields. Sorry, I use very vulgar because
I don't
pretty
give a
much that's
shit. That's what
that's
we
all they
are.
fucking are. Especially grunts, they're just fucking meat shields. But if that happens and all of a sudden a draft is implemented, it means we do not have enough bodies. Too many people. This is how I look at it: is too many people are dying and we can't keep up. So you are
Well,
being forced to
and
do
also the
this.
fact that like military records across the board are down because my generation is looking at our country and going, why would I fight for this country when there's literally a war in my own country?
So, Laura, something just popped in my head. So, the other day when when we were in a city and I had therapy
Uh-huh.
and I didn't want to go to therapy that day and
Someone.
sat there and said that I should just skip it. And you got
Very
Heated?
angry.
not heated. I think you were just being defensive of me
I would have
because it's
fucking.
working for me.
I was.
Where was I?
Protective. You guys
No,
were protective of me.
it wasn't even that. It was me being
Mama Bear.
strict with him.
Yes.
No,
And
absolutely no,
I
no,
knew
no.
he was joking,
And I knew he was joking too, but I still had to say it.
Well,
but you
because
know how I
we
am.
know the effects it's having for you, and they're very positive effects.
Mhm.
To even joke
Well,
about
so
something that's working for you,
no, I know. So I was feeling brave enough to open up to my sister when I first got re-diagnosed, proper diagnosis, and I was talking to her saying, "Oh, well, I'm getting back on my
I'm
medication."
sorry, you said to your sister that cut out.
Yeah, my sister.
Okay.
And so I told her, I was like,
sister,
"Oh, well, they want me
sister.
to do this tea therapy and all this other kind of stuff," and she's like, "Well, you shouldn't do that.
Well, that's her
Oh, they're
opinion.
just." Well, yeah, and I looked at her and I was like, "Well, why?" She's like, "Well, you should try like," and she's not religious, she's not spiritual in like healing crystals or anything like that. She's like, "Oh, you're probably missing." I was like,
You're probably missing what?
like part of my soul or something is
Oh,
probably what she was getting at. Because as soon as she started talking about like I when I'm sick, I drink mint tea instead of doing cough syrup. If my throat hurts, and that's me personally.
I drink
I would never.
I drink hot water with honey and lemon.
Yeah, so everybody has their own like home remedy they do for stuff like that. Well, she said what in her mind is if I go to this like specific type of healer, I'm going to be cured from my borderline personality disorder and my depression and my anxiety. And I just kind of looked at her. I was like, no, no, that's not how this works. But and then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, I always hate the medication and I hate the side effects, and I really don't want to go to group therapy and I don't want to do individual therapy because it's never worked before. And opinions like that on certain things can detrimental, and I understand it's her freedom of speech, but there's such a negative stigma on mental illness
Yep.
that when someone you are close to, like I used to be close to my sister, but she's gone off one path and I'm going off another, and if I would have listened to her, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I have you guys always being like, okay, no, you got to go to therapy. Nope, we're not doing nothing. And then I have another person who will sit there every night and be like, hey, don't forget your meds.
So
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask a question. When your sister said that to you, um, did it make you angry and hot and heated?
It, I think it more hurt because of the fact that it's like, I don't, there, I'm not broken. Well, I'm broken, but I'm not, I know, I understand I'm always going to have this. I understand I may or may not always have to be on medication because the medication helps with anxiety and depression.
Uh
It
huh.
will not help with borderline personality disorder whatsoever. But it just hurt because it's it's like she's sitting there like she's totally against vaccines and that's her choice.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here for a minute.
Uh-huh.
And let me say, would you have felt differently if she came to you and said, pray to God that He helps reconfigure your brain so that you are no longer suffering from this?
I would look at her and say, "Well, you can pray to your God about it and I will speak to my gods and maybe not necessarily be cured or like fix my brain, but give me the tools to be normal ish."
Okay, and if it was that pastor in Missouri
Oh,
telling you to pray to God to fix your way of thinking because Satan made your brain that way, how would you feel?
oh, you really gotta call me out on this.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
keeping my
I
mouth shut on
probably
this.
see it's different coming from a family member
Oh, it
than
is, isn't it?
for me. For me, it's different. I would sit there and tell that man to go fly over the cuckoo's nest. That's the nice way I would say it. But it's different because she's known me my whole life. Now, if let's say my neighbor said something like that, I would still be polite and be like, oh, yeah, I'll do that.
But would you offer
But
their head up on a platter and like stone them for
oh
what they're saying?
no,
'Cause that's pretty much what these people want to do to this pastor, right?
no, I don't know anybody's opinion. It's just because I heard about him on because at work we listen to talk radio. I really wish we listened to something else, but that's what we listen to. And I just like it's just background noise. Like I don't pay that much attention until something piques my interest. And I heard autism, devil,
Yeah.
and cure, and I was like, oh, hold on, hold the phone. And I watched it, and with things like that, I will say yes. I probably took it not the way he really meant it, but I took it verbatim how he said it. And then I read an article afterwards saying he wasn't saying that the kids were trash, and I understand that. But when you're being recorded and then you have to go back because people are calling you're only taking what is it? You're stepping back to take your
Backpedaling.
words away. Yeah, you're
Backpedaling.
backpedaling because people are calling you out. To me, that's not sincere. Now, if he would have sat there right after it was posted, before like any news articles got it, and he made a video being like, "Oh, I understand people were taking this the wrong way. I'm so sorry." Like he didn't say that like the day after or hours after. He said it after like it caught like the New York Post, the Washington Post, like when other places were when people were calling him out on it. That to me that's not being sincere. You're just trying to save face. Now, if I saw that man begging on the street and I had my last dollar, I would still give it to him. But I would sit there and say maybe next time
Choose your words
think
better.
choose your words better. I'm like, because to me, you're saying my child's broken when he's not. You're saying
In
that
all
and
fairness, we are all broken. In
well,
all
yes,
fairness, we
but
are all broken.
I also don't want people to believe that if they pray hard enough to God, or if they like, I don't think he's doing this, but there are churches that will sit there and do like that healing power, like you touch someone and oh, you can see again. And it's been proven as fake most of the time. Maybe there are some that actually are real. I don't know. I've never heard of a case of one, but I don't want people bringing their children to like these faith healers and them thinking God doesn't love them. He's not curing their child.
Unfortunately, it's not up to you to let people think how you want them to think. If
Well,
that
it's
makes
I don't
sense.
want
You know,
to.
and
I don't
I
want them.
agree with you. I don't want
Because
anybody to be conned or feel less than. Yeah, I get
because to
that.
me that's not Christianity to be like,
No.
oh, well, pay me all of your life savings and I'll touch your child and I will heal them. And I
Okay,
understand
choice of words.
I
it's
wasn't
Your
gonna say
oh
anything.
my
child.
I wasn't gonna
god.
say anything.
Okay, you know what I meant. But it's just
That
I
piqued my
can't stand
interest right
that
there. I'm
because
like,
to
hold
me you're
on.
not being a real Christian then. From what I understand of Christianity, you're not being real then. And
Yeah.
you're giving Christians that actually follow Christianity and follow it the way it's supposed to be a bad name.
No, you know, we have a couple special needs children in my church, and um I don't see them as damaged goods or broken people or less than. I see them as different sized gifts. You know, they're just not the same as me. And I
Well,
love
yeah.
every single one of them, and they're so fun. So fun to get to know and to teach.
Well,
Hmm.
so like our friend, he loves it when my oldest comes down and he'll be like, lollipop, cheeseburger. Like it makes him smile. Like he, at first I took, I will say the very first time, like the two I used to, him and the other one I used to spend all my time with, like laughed at him. I got very defensive because I thought they were making fun of him, and I was like, "Look, don't make fun of my kid. I am a mama bear. I will smile in my mugshot for my kids."
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's one of those things where it's like I do, when it comes to even just special needs, I realize I do need to take like a step back sometimes because I may take something the way it's not really meant to be taken, and then I get all fired up about it. And
Yeah,
then
I'm definitely interested in listening to this video again and to
mhm.
actually getting the words down and being able to read them because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing them from a different place than you are, and I want to be able to see if maybe I'm not saying it right. You know, I want to.
Well, yeah, but see, and that's like I said, with even with like the amendments and stuff, you may see it a totally different way than I see it in that video, uh, and Miss Cheshire may see it in a totally different way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I took it, that's how I perceived it, and that's why I wanted to do this topic, was because of like, maybe I am seeing it in the wrong way. Maybe this really isn't hate speech. Because to me, hate speech doesn't include special needs or stuff like that. Like I read, it's doesn't include specific things. But to me, I took it as hate speech. That you hate my child, that you think there's something wrong with my child, and to me, you are a piece of garbage because you're hiding behind a religion saying,
And to me, I heard him saying that he hated the quote unquote disease, and
yeah,
not
and that,
the
and
not the
if I,
child.
yes, but I took it a different way, and I'm
Yes.
just like, I will fight you.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for today's discussion of freedom of speech and slander. And I know we got off topic there a little bit, but you know it is what
We'll
it
do
is.
better next time.
Welcome to our
Okay,
brains.
it is okay to be off topic.
Thank you for watching.
Yep, and sooner or later we will be live.
They
Maybe.
they will be live. I will not be live. We're working on some promising updates for the podcast, and um, we'll probably be releasing a discussion on religion in 2 weeks. So come back
Yep.
and listen to us
See
discuss and
everybody
debate.
next time. Oh God. We'll have to set rules.
I'm not sure if we'll have a guest speaker or not for our religion discussion. I think it would be fun, but I also think it could add more chaos. So I guess we'll see.
We'll discuss it. Make a unified decision.
Yeah, so everybody have a great couple of weeks, and we'll see you later.
See ya.